Good morning, sir. Could you please state your name?
Hello, my name is David.
All right. And would you say that you are in fact bilingual?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so basically what the podcast is going to entail is what's it called? We're going to be talking about how much of an impact do you and I think that language has into cultural identity. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? Or do you need
I
like
believe I understand what you're saying.
So basically, it's talking about us, for example, being straight up Latino Mexicans.
Oh, okay.
Like how important Spanish is to our identity.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You have any
Yeah.
questions before we start?
No?
Oh, well, you should.
Oh.
Just kidding. Um, okay. Don't worry. I'm interviewing you. You're not
Okay.
interviewing me, so you don't have to have like crazy questions. If you do want to go on off on a little rant, that'd be great. I
Okay.
encourage the big boy thinking.
Okay.
Okay. Ahora pues. So firstly, I'd like to introduce the kind of the meat and potatoes of the project. So I was given these two articles,
Okay.
and basically we just had to read them. And the first one is called "What It Takes to Truly Be One of Us." You couldn't see the air quotes there, but I did them. And basically, this article just shows statistics of how many people believe that speaking the native language is important to being one of us.
Okay.
And so high up there, we have the Netherlands, Hungary, UK, Germany, France. US is pretty high up there at 70%. And really low, and I was reading this, I found this really funny. Canada, and Canada and Italy are the lowest scoring. They
Interesting.
aren't as big into like the speaking the language. Do you have any thoughts on like why that could be?
I mean, other than being able to just communicate with the overall population in that area,
Hmm.
not really much else comes to mind.
Okay. I had a quick like thought about it actually. So I had one more for Canada than Italy though.
Mm-hmm.
So in Canada, it's I have a friend who's Canadian, and
Mm-hmm.
he told me that for a long time, they had to go and learn, and they were in school in French. They were taught schools in French. And then once you got into the high school level, that's when it started changing, and you could start going to like an English speaking school or continue the French school. And so it's very weird because it's like something that's forced, but then it's like
Mm-hmm.
not forced anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting, and that could be why language isn't as big of a deal to the Canadians. And the Italians, I have no idea, man. Have you ever heard an Italian speak?
No, not unless we're talking about New York.
Now, New York Italian is potato potato. It's the same thing, David. No,
Ah.
but they speak with such a passion. It's crazy
Mm.
to me just to listen to it. It's really impressive. It's like
Yeah.
they speak it like the Venezuelans speak Spanish. Or not the
Mm.
Venezuelans, the ¿cómo se llaman? You know the one people who go like rápido, rápido, arriba, arriba, vámonos, wah!
Ah.
You know that kind of Spanish where it's like stupid
Yeah.
fast, and even the Mexicans we have to like write it down. Anyway, that was my impressive segue into the next part. Um, there are, I don't know if you've been exposed to it as I have. There are so many different kinds of Spanish just in our area alone. When coming from El Paso, did you know Vivian?
Yes, not
She,
very well, but yeah.
she was Colombiana and she spoke it. She was Colombian and she spoke her Spanish super duper Colombian. you know, really deep and to the point, like, hey, ¿qué quieres? ¿Qué hay aquí? Stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, and I'm gonna steal this from Gabriel Iglesias, the Mexican way of speaking Spanish is very, very like you're high.
Mm-hmm.
Very slowed down. Órale, güey!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but do you have any comments on that? Like, the different kind of Spanishes and stuff?
It's honestly weird to see here. Like even now that I'm working at Walmart, um, there's a lot of different people that walk in, a lot of people that only speak one language,
Hmm.
and it's crazy. Some of them will talk to me like pretty quick because I guess my complexion or something that
Yeah.
just tells them, oh, he knows Spanish, and so they come at me like, hola, like they just go off,
Like,
you
they
know?
just go off right away.
Yeah.
That's very interesting you say that, especially because, you know, everything that's going on now in the country, you know, you have a lot of the racism going on, and it sucks, but it's really interesting you bring that up because it is just a quick profile that people do.
Hmm.
And I don't believe, you know, it's intentionally trying to be racist or anything like that, but it's just people see you in this area, they
Hmm.
notice you have a certain skin color or a complexion to you, and they just assume that you speak the language perfectly. I know from from being friends with you that you're not a 100% Spanish speaker, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I only know maybe probably pushing it, but like 50%.
Yeah. But you know, I wanted you on the podcast to talk about where we lived. Where we
Hmm.
lived is, I think, a little more important.
Yeah.
And thank you for bringing that up. It is a big thing. You know, when I worked at Whataburger in El Paso, everyone would come up, they'd look at me and they'd be like, "Oh, hola, hi. I would like
Yeah.
this. Yo quiero esto. Yes, I want this, and that."
Hmm.
And so, yeah, truthfully, I do think it's a big deal. Just being
Hmm.
able to living in a certain area and speaking that certain thing, because I had coworkers who didn't speak Spanish, and it was just detrimental to them when somebody came in saying hola, and then they'd ask, "Habla inglés? Do you speak English?" And they'd be like,
Hmm.
No." So, for professionally and, you know, of course, at the house, I think being able to communicate with the mass majority that you're living amongst,
Hmm.
excuse me, is I would say that it's not only necessary, but it's also a polite thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, you do it out of respect, and you know you want to make sure that whatever you're telling these people that it's
Hmm.
the right information. You don't want to go around spreading misinformation or things like that.
Yeah, I remember we'd go over into Juarez and just hang out, and we went with this one group, and
Mhm.
like two or three of them out of us five didn't speak a lick of Spanish, and
Mm.
they were like going around saying, "Excuse me, habla inglés,"
Mhm.
and it didn't piss me off, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way
Yeah.
because I was like, dude, you first of all you live in El Paso. Sure, it's America. We speak English, but no, that's not right.
Mhm.
But you're in a different country. You
Mhm.
know, a country that a lot of people might speak English because we're so close to the border, and you know people go to work. But
Mhm.
it's kind of disrespectful to just go around. Hey, do you speak my language?
Yeah. Like then again, like you have also other people that they go to Japan. They ask, you know.
Uh huh.
But usually when they don't, I mean, I feel that it's just if they don't, you try your best. Don't force them like, oh, like don't give them crap for it, you know?
I feel that.
Because you're in their territory at that point, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And you do your best with what you know and what you got.
You work with what you got. I like how you put that. Yeah. All right.
Hmm.
So we're gonna digress. I'm using all the
Okay.
big boy words today. We're gonna. Hold up. I have to go back to this page. Oh, and my controller disconnected. That's embarrassing. Okay.
Well,
Um. So just some quick questions. Do you think that language is essential to identify someone's nationality?
in a way, yeah. Not because of like um any sort of profiling or anything. Like nothing with a negative connotation at all.
Okay.
Purely positive, you know. You want to take pride in the places you're coming from, and with language, that's just a big key factor, you know. It's
Yeah,
pretty essential.
absolutely, absolutely. In the articles that we were reading, there they were explaining that according to the Pew Research Center survey, language was the number one, was found to be like the most vital to a national identity.
Mm,
So language is super duper important, and I absolutely love Spanish. Not Spanish language, period. I you know not I can't say I'm a Latin speaker, but I can understand Latin, coming from medical
mm,
background. I speak French, Japanese, German, English. Um, absolutely love languages, and it's so interesting to
mhm,
go into the deeper cultural dive to see how important language is to these people.
mhm.
Um, does multilingualism complicate the construction of identity? What would you think about that?
No, honestly, I feel that because I want to become multilingual, I want to learn how to speak Spanish, and I also want to learn how to speak Japanese just for the pure fact that um, I want to go to Japan a couple years from now.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Um, and I finally have the job to actually accomplish that. But I just want to take pride in saying like, yeah, I can speak that. Like, let me see if I can help somebody out who's trying to either learn and or um, just try to have a conversation with a lot of people.
Mhm. Mhm. I love how you put that, especially the conversation thing. I so recently for one of my classes, for my French class, we had to do an assignment on a thing called Talk Abroad, and I completely loved it. I love the experience getting able to talk to somebody who has no background speaking English, and it
Mhm.
was pretty cool because I'm sitting there in front of this lady, and she's talking to me in French, and I might show off as if my French is fantastic, and it really is.
Mhm.
It really isn't. I know words in French. Yeah, I could probably be dropped in France and fully learn the language in maybe a year. Like that's
Mhm.
how high I am in it. But I don't know like how to properly manage my sentences. And
Mhm.
so I was thrown in front of this woman, and she started talking to me. I was like, "Oh, I can understand her. That's awesome." But I couldn't
Mhm.
talk back.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I won't lie, I used I had Google Translate up, and I had to
Mhm.
Google like basic words. Like we were
Yeah.
talking about her dog, and I was like, "Oh crap, I forgot how to say dog." So I
Yeah.
Googled it, dog in French. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it was such a raw and beautiful experience, man. I absolutely
Yeah.
loved it. And I think if you do
And
do that, you'll enjoy it too.
yeah. And that's how it is for me with Spanish right now. You know, I understand a lot more than I do speak. So I know what these people are telling me, but I can't really respond back only because and this is why I always say blame the school system. 'Cause I took non-native Spanish classes in high school,
Mhm. Mhm.
and all it was just um like, oh, this is how you say ser, for example, when you're using a certain tense, like yo, te, tú, sorry,
Uh huh.
and all those. and it wasn't actually full conversations that people would have. It was always just this is how you change words.
Yeah. I feel
And
you. I took 3 years of French in high school. The only reason I kept taking French was because I had an amazing teacher, Madame Cavazos.
hmm
I absolutely loved her energy, and I told her straight up, I really do want to learn this language. If you could please help me. And she would always throw in that extra 110%. You know, she'd. My first year was rough, of course. But
hmm
after the second year and the third year, when we actually got into the cultural roots, that was a lot of fun.
hmm
But I completely understand and feel for you because it wasn't all conversation.
hmm
I actively went out and spoke with the. Thank God there was one other guy in my class who really wanted to learn the language. Well, everyone else was in there, oh, elective time. But there was one
hmm
other guy who really wanted to learn the language, and we would sit next to each other and just go off in French, and
hmm
it was awesome. It was so much fun. Okay, let's digress into our last question. Um,
Okay.
I lost it. 1 second. Uh, how would you say? Okay, so I'm gonna make up my own question because that last one I'm not a big fan of. So how would you say? Or I'm sorry, would you say that being bilingual or multilingual is a positive or a negative thing?
Very much a positive thing.
Okay.
If you can speak more than one language and, it's in your local area, like take El Paso for example, if you can speak English and Spanish, any job you want here, you can get almost like that. Granted, with the experience, you need to come in with it and any other skills,
Uh-huh.
but a lot of these jobs here in El Paso require you even to be
Speak
bilingual or
Spanish, yeah.
multilingual.
Okay, interesting.
So, so I
And
mean,
then
it's a
just
positive.
yeah, no, completely. And then just a quick backtrack from that. Um, well, I was trying to ask, but what do you think people? Do you think people look at you differently for speaking both English and Spanish in our, let's say in our own area? You think it's
Mm,
looked down upon in any way?
no, no. Like a lot of my experiences with people who are bilingual and who I've talked to,
Hmm.
I've never heard them once ever say like, "This guy doesn't like whenever I speak Spanish," or it's
Yeah.
always it's always just like a regular conversation that it never pops up.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, no. And then just to add to that, when I lived in Korea and Japan and Germany, um, I didn't speak a lick of the language in Korea or Germany, and I would ask
Mm,
people like my favorite thing to ask in Korea was how much is this or what
mhm,
is this, and the people would know, they knew you didn't speak the language, so they'd get up, they'd grab a menu because it had pictures. All the menus had pictures. Is what I'm trying to say. Dang it! And if my stroke could leave,
mhm,
and they'd go into detail, bulgogi, beef,
okay,
and they'd go into it and they'd explain it to you, and that was awesome. I did feel bad for not knowing the language though.
mhm,
I felt kind of not left out. I'm not gonna say left out, but I felt it was kind of rude for me to
mm,
not speak their language.
yeah,
But
yeah, and
yeah.
just to add on to that, with work now that I'm working here at Walmart, um, like I feel bad whenever I can't say certain phrases in Spanish, and you know they're uh they're confused. Luckily, right now since I'm in training, I can have whoever's there to translate.
Uh huh.
But I feel bad not being able to do it myself and
You
having
know
to
when it
to have
sucks the most?
Mhm.
Because I have some of those problems too. You know, I learned all these languages, and because I learned English and Spanish at the same time when I was, you know, a baby, I fully went closer to English. I lost so much of my Spanish, even my accent's a little meh, and I'm trying to bring
Yeah.
that back. But there's a few words where like I don't know, and it sucks the most when you're talking to like an elderly lady or a grown person like that, and you're like, ¿cómo se
Mhm.
dice esto? Or how do you say this? Or is this what you're looking for? And you start getting all embarrassed, and that's for me
Yeah.
the worst part.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's happened so many times. And after once they kind of get what I'm trying to say, and I would always tell them like, "Oh, perdón, es que no sabe mucho español," or
Yeah, that you don't know a
something
lot of
along those
Spanish.
lines.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Ah, no, mijo, todo es bien." But
All good,
deep
don't worry.
down, yeah, it's
Uh huh.
I
Yeah.
felt rude about not knowing.
Okay. So for real, the last question is do you think that speaking that you would want to learn more Spanish in order to get closer to your Mexican identity?
Absolutely. Only 'cause right now I have a lot of grandparents, well, grandmothers. Um, both my grandfathers have passed.
Uh huh. I'm sorry.
Um, but yeah. But they speak a lot of Spanish, and I mean, I'd love to actually sit down and have like a good, genuine, full conversation where it's both of us and we're
Hmm.
conversating, and just trying to connect and bond.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Alrighty then. Well, that was the last question. Um, I gotta get going. I know you're busy too. Well, yeah, David.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much for just being here, helping me out, and honestly having a fantastic podcast. I think we got to the root of the conversation, and I always love having these. Usually, I have Jacob on because
Hmm.
I love because Jacob brings a really strong he brings strong arguments to the podcast, and it's a lot of fun
Hmm.
to bicker. But I brought you in because you are a native Spanish speaker, and you are from the area where I grew up in too.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, thank you so much, David.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, all right, and that's gonna be all. Thank you everybody for watching.